Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going somewhere you might not expect.
Okay.
We're heading into the digital battleground of North Korea's cyber warfare program. Yeah, we're going way beyond the headlines
Right.
to uncover how this seemingly isolated nation has become a major player in the cyber world.
It is fascinating how North Korea has developed such sophisticated capabilities.
It really is.
Considering the economic and technological limitations they face,
Yeah,
it challenges our assumptions about what they're actually capable of.
absolutely. To really understand the scale of what we're dealing with. Let's start with a story.
Okay.
It's 2016 in Japan,
Oh.
and a seemingly ordinary group of young adults are about to pull off an extraordinary heist.
Interesting.
They've been recruited and meticulously trained for a very specific task.
Okay.
Withdraw 100,000 yen at a time. Only from 7-Eleven ATMs
Uh-huh.
between 5 and 8 a.m.
Wow.
And make sure to use the Japanese language setting on the machines.
Fascinating. The level of detail and coordination is striking. This wasn't just some random cybercrime.
No.
This was a meticulously planned operation, later attributed to North Korea, that netted them $19 million.
Wow.
In just 3 hours, they hit over 1,700 ATMs across Japan.
That's almost unbelievable. And what makes it even more intriguing is the cards they used originated from a bank in South Africa. Talk about a global reach.
Right.
But how did a nation with limited internet access for its citizens cultivate such a skilled team of cyber operatives?
That's the paradox, isn't it? North Korea has strategically invested in developing a cyber army.
Yeah.
And it all starts with their education system.
So they're starting young.
Yeah, they identify gifted students at a young age and funnel them into elite schools focused on science, math, technology, and foreign languages.
You hear about their strict regime. But I was blown away when I learned about their achievements in international math competitions.
Yeah.
They consistently rank in the top 5 for gold medals at the International Mathematical Olympiad. And in 2019, a North Korean university
Yeah.
actually beat out giants like Oxford and Harvard in a prestigious programming competition. It really makes you question any preconceived notions you might have.
It really does, Ben. Their performance in these competitions demonstrates their commitment to developing a highly skilled technical workforce. This talent pipeline feeds directly into units like Unit 121,
Okay.
their dedicated cyber warfare unit, essentially their elite hacking force.
So Unit 121 seems like a good place to start digging deeper.
Sure.
What sparked North Korea's intense focus on cyber warfare? Was there like a defining moment that set them on this path?
Many experts believe that the Gulf War in the early 1990s served as a wake-up call for North Korea.
Oh, wow.
They witnessed the devastating impact of technology in modern warfare, particularly the role of electronic warfare.
Makes sense.
Kim Jong-il, the father of the current leader, recognized this shift, famously declaring that modern warfare would be decided through electronic warfare. Wow.
This statement laid the groundwork for their strategic move towards cyber dominance.
And that's how Unit 121 was born. Formed in 1998, this elite unit, estimated to have started with 500 to 1,000 members, was tasked with research and development in various cyber disciplines. They even sent personnel to study in China and Russia, further enhancing their skills.
These individuals weren't just learning basic hacking techniques.
No.
They were receiving training in advanced computer science, cryptography, and network security. And remember those top-tier universities we talked about?
Yeah.
They play a crucial role in supplying talent to Unit 121. Institutions like Pyongyang University of Science and Technology and Kim Il-sung University are essentially the training grounds for North Korea's cyber warriors.
It's remarkable how they've managed to build this sophisticated program from the ground up. But let's talk about the real-world impact.
Okay.
What are some of the major cyber attacks that have been linked to North Korea? One attack that sent shockwaves through Hollywood and really put North Korea on the map in terms of cyber capabilities was the 2014 Sony Pictures hack. Imagine this, thousands of computers and servers wiped clean.
Wow.
Unreleased films leaked, and sensitive information about employees plastered all over the internet.
That's crazy.
It was a massive breach that caused significant financial damage and even led to the resignation of a studio head due to embarrassing email leaks.
The scale of that attack was incredible. And the fact that it stemmed from a comedy film
Right.
that satirized the North Korean leadership just adds another layer to the story. It certainly suggests a willingness to use cyber attacks as a form of retaliation.
While North Korea downplayed their involvement, the FBI officially attributed the attack to them, and their response calling it a good thing, certainly didn't help dispel the notion that they were behind it.
Right.
But this was just the beginning. Their cyber activities were about to get even bolder and more ambitious.
Right. Because then we have the audacious Bangladesh bank heist in 2016. What's incredible about this one is the sheer patience and planning involved. They spent 17 months
Wow.
carefully studying the bank's systems, mimicking their transfer patterns, learning their routines, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
It's a classic example of what's known as social engineering in the cyber world. This involves manipulating people to gain access to sensitive information or systems. In this case, they use a combination of social engineering and technical expertise to gain access to the bank's network, and very nearly got away with $1 billion.
It's mind-boggling how close they came.
I know.
They were only foiled by a tiny detail,
All right.
a single word,
Jupiter.
appearing in one of the account names they were using to transfer the stolen funds.
That Jupiter error triggered alarms because it was linked to a sanctioned Iranian shipping company. That single word brought the whole operation crashing down. But even though their plan was partially thwarted, they still managed to make off with $81 million, which was quickly laundered through casinos in the Philippines.
This heist was a major wake-up call for the global financial community,
It was.
demonstrating that North Korea was a serious player in the world of cybercrime, capable of targeting institutions on a global scale.
This operation really solidified North Korea's reputation as a major cyber threat. It showed the world that they weren't just dabbling in cybercrime. They were capable of pulling off incredibly complex and audacious heists. And what's even more concerning is that their activities weren't limited to financial gain. They were about to unleash a new kind of cyber weapon on the world.
What's that?
Ransomware.
And that brings us to the infamous WannaCry attack of 2017. This wasn't just a targeted attack.
No.
This was a global ransomware pandemic. That affected over 150 countries and brought critical infrastructure to its knees. Businesses were paralyzed. Hospitals couldn't access patient records. And transportation systems were disrupted. It was pure chaos.
Ransomware, as the name suggests, is a type of malicious software that encrypts a victim's files, holding them hostage until a ransom is paid, usually in Bitcoin to unlock them. What made WannaCry so devastating was that it exploited a vulnerability in older versions of the Windows operating system. And many organizations hadn't updated their systems, making them incredibly vulnerable.
The impact was staggering.
It was.
We're talking major corporations like Boeing, essential services like the British National Health Service, and even transportation networks like German railways. It was a stark reminder of how interconnected and vulnerable our digital world is.
And the evidence strongly suggested that North Korea was behind this attack. The tools and techniques used in WannaCry bore striking similarities to those used in previous attacks attributed to them, solidifying their position as a major player in the global cyber landscape. They had demonstrated their capability to disrupt critical systems worldwide and extort victims on a massive scale.
These attacks paint a very alarming picture of North Korea's cyber capabilities. But is it just about wreaking havoc and causing disruption? It seems like there's a much bigger picture here, strategic motive behind these attacks, right?
You're absolutely right. There's a strategic component to these cyber attacks, and it goes beyond just financial gain or disrupting systems. It's about generating revenue to support their regime, and more importantly, funding their nuclear ambitions.
That's a chilling thought. So they're not just playing around the digital world, they're using it to further their geopolitical goals.
Exactly.
But how are they able to turn cyber attacks into cold, hard cash? Where's the money trail?
A UN investigation revealed that North Korea has been systematically using cyber attacks to steal billions of dollars, potentially funneling it directly into their nuclear weapons program.
Wow.
They identified at least 58 cyber attacks attributed to North Korea between 2017 and 2023, generating an estimated $3 billion. To put that in perspective, their entire GDP is estimated to be somewhere between $29 billion and $40 billion.
Oh, wow. So they're generating a significant portion of their national income through cybercrime.
Yeah.
It's almost unbelievable that a nation often portrayed as technologically backward
I know.
is actually at the forefront of this digital battlefield.
It certainly highlights the importance of not underestimating their capabilities. We've seen them evolve from meticulously planned ATM heists to global ransomware attacks. The question is, what's next?
Right.
What new threats might they pose as their cyber program continues to evolve?
Yeah, it is a chilling thought to consider what they might do next.
Right.
We've seen them target financial institutions, critical infrastructure, even the entertainment industry. What's to stop them from going after other sectors?
That's the million-dollar question. As their capabilities continue to grow,
Right.
so do the potential threats. We're living in a world that's increasingly reliant on technology,
Yeah.
and this interconnectedness creates vulnerabilities that North Korea has shown they're more than willing to exploit.
It's like they're constantly probing for weaknesses, looking for any crack in our digital armor. Imagine a coordinated attack on our power grids, communication networks, or even healthcare systems. The consequences could be devastating.
Absolutely. And what makes cyber warfare even more challenging is that it doesn't follow the same rules as traditional warfare.
How so?
There are no physical borders in cyberspace,
Right.
making it incredibly difficult to contain or control.
Yeah.
And attributing attacks can be a real challenge.
So it's a constantly evolving game of cat and mouse, with the attackers finding new ways to exploit vulnerabilities. As cybersecurity measures improve, it's like a never-ending arms race in the digital world.
That's a great analogy. And this arms race is only going to intensify. With the rise of artificial intelligence and automation,
Oh.
AI-powered cyber attacks could be faster, more sophisticated, and much harder to detect, making them a game changer in the world of cyber warfare.
It's a pretty daunting prospect. So what can be done to counter this growing threat? Are we just sitting ducks in this digital battlefield?
Not necessarily. We're not powerless in this fight,
Okay.
but it requires a multifaceted approach. It starts with awareness,
Yeah.
understanding the nature of the threat, the motivations behind it, and the potential consequences is crucial.
So knowledge is power, as they say. But awareness alone isn't enough.
No.
We need to take concrete actions to protect ourselves.
Absolutely. Robust cybersecurity measures are essential.
Like what?
This includes everything from basic practices, like keeping your software up to date, and using strong passwords to more advanced measures, like implementing multi-factor authentication and investing in threat detection systems.
It sounds like a lot to keep up with, especially for individuals in smaller organizations who may not have the resources
Right.
for sophisticated cybersecurity infrastructure.
That's true. And that's where collaboration becomes vital. Governments, businesses, and individuals need to work together to share information, develop best practices, and coordinate responses to cyber attacks. We can't afford to operate in silos. A united front is key in this fight.
So how do we hold North Korea accountable? How do we deter them from launching these attacks in the first place?
That's a tough question. Traditional deterrence strategies, like military threats, don't translate easily to cyberspace.
Right.
And sanctions, while they have had some impact, haven't been entirely effective. Some experts believe we need to develop new norms of behavior in cyberspace.
Okay.
Clear red lines that, if crossed, will trigger consequences.
So it's about setting clear boundaries and consequences, but in a way that's tailored to this new domain of warfare.
Exactly.
That makes sense. But what about the ethical implications of all of this? Cyber warfare is a relatively new domain, and the rules of engagement are still being debated.
You're raising a crucial point. There are significant concerns about the potential for collateral damage. In cyber attacks, for example, an attack on a power grid could disrupt hospitals and other essential services, causing unintended harm to civilians. And then there's the whole issue of attribution. How do we ensure we're targeting the right actors and not causing unintended escalation?
It's a complex ethical landscape with no easy answers, but it's a conversation we absolutely need to have
It is.
as cyber warfare becomes more prevalent. So we've covered the evolution of North Korea's cyber capabilities, the threats they pose, and the challenges encountering them. But what does all this mean for the average person? How should we think about this threat in our daily lives?
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by all this talk of cyber warfare and sophisticated hacking, but there are simple things we can all do to protect ourselves.
Like what?
Start by being aware of the risks.
Okay.
Think before you click on links or open attachments, especially if they come from unknown sources.
Right.
Use strong passwords and enable two-factor authentication wherever possible. And keep your software updated.
Yeah.
These simple steps can significantly reduce your risk.
So it's about being vigilant and taking basic precautions, just like we do in the physical world. We lock our doors, we wear seatbelts, and we should apply that same level of caution in the digital world.
Exactly.
But beyond individual actions, what role can governments and international organizations play in addressing this challenge?
Governments have a crucial role to play on several fronts. First, they need to invest in robust cybersecurity infrastructure
Okay.
to protect critical national assets like power grids, communication networks, and financial systems. Second, they need to develop clear legal frameworks and international agreements to govern cyberspace and deter malicious activity.
So it's about building a more secure and resilient digital ecosystem, both domestically and internationally.
Right.
But what about the role of diplomacy? Can dialogue play a part in reducing cyber tensions?
Diplomacy is absolutely essential, especially in the realm of cyberspace,
Okay.
where attacks often occur in a gray zone, making attribution difficult and motives unclear. Open dialogue can help to build trust, establish norms of behavior, and reduce the risk of miscalculation.
So communication is key, just like in any relationship.
Yes.
Open and honest communication can help prevent misunderstandings and de-escalate tension.
Precisely. And it's important to remember that cyber warfare isn't just about technology. It's about
right.
people. It's about the choices we make, the actions we face, and the consequences we face. By understanding the human element of cyber conflict, we can develop more effective strategies for prevention, deterrence, and response.
That's a powerful insight. It's not just about firewalls and algorithms. It's about human behavior motivations and the complex interplay between technology and society. But let's shift gears for a moment to talk about the potential for positive applications of cyber technology. We focused on the dark side, but surely there are positive uses for these capabilities as well.
Of course, cyber technology has the potential to revolutionize many aspects of our lives.
Like what?
From healthcare and education to transportation and energy. Telemedicine, for example, can provide access to healthcare in remote areas.
That's amazing.
Online learning platforms can democratize education, and smart grids can optimize energy consumption. There's a whole world of possibilities out there.
So it's a double-edged sword, capable of both great good and great harm.
Right.
The challenge is to harness the power of cyber technology for positive purposes, while mitigating the risks. But let's face it, the threat of cyber warfare isn't going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
What does the future hold for this domain? What trends should we be watching?
That's a great question. One trend we're already seeing is the increasing sophistication of cyber attacks. As I mentioned earlier, artificial intelligence and automation are playing a growing role, making attacks faster, more targeted, and harder to defend against.
So it's like a constant arms race with the attackers and defenders constantly trying to outmaneuver each other.
Yeah, exactly.
What other trends are on the horizon?
Another trend to watch is the growing use of cyber attacks as a tool of geopolitical influence.
Oh, wow.
We're seeing nations use cyber attacks to disrupt elections, spread disinformation, and undermine their adversaries. This blurring of the lines between cybercrime, espionage, and warfare is creating a more complex and unpredictable security environment.
So it's not just about stealing money or disrupting systems anymore.
No.
It's about shaping perceptions, influencing outcomes, and achieving strategic objectives. It's almost like a new form of information warfare.
Precisely. And as the world becomes increasingly interconnected, the stakes are only going to get higher.
It's a sobering thought. So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Exploring the evolution of North Korea's cyber capabilities, the threats they pose, the challenges of countering them, the ethical considerations, and even a glimpse into the future of cyber warfare. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left wondering, where do we go from here? What does all of this mean for the future of global security?
It is a complex landscape, and there are no easy answers. The reality is that the world is at a crossroads when it comes to cyberspace.
Okay.
We can either continue down a path of escalating cyber conflict with all the risks and uncertainties that come with it, or we can choose a different path, one of cooperation, dialogue, and responsible use of technology. It's not just about protecting ourselves. It's about shaping a future where technology empowers us, not endangers us.
So we have a choice to make cyber chaos or cyber peace. But how do we even begin to shift from a mindset of confrontation to one of collaboration? It feels like such a massive undertaking.
It won't be easy, that's for sure. It requires a fundamental shift in thinking. We need to recognize that cybersecurity isn't just a technical issue. It's a human issue.
Oh, interesting.
It's about building trust, fostering understanding, and finding common ground, even with those we might consider adversaries.
So it's about bridging divides, not widening them.
Exactly.
It's about seeing each other not as enemies, but as partners in navigating this shared digital future. We need to find a way to work together, even when there are disagreements and conflicting interests.
We all have a stake in creating a more stable, secure, and prosperous cyberspace. No one nation or group can solve this problem alone.
It really is a global issue.
It requires a collective effort, a global commitment to responsible behavior in cyberspace.
Well said. This deep dive has been a real eye-opener for me, and I imagine for our listeners as well.
I hope so.
We've delved into the hidden world of North Korea's cyber program, explored the complexities of cyber warfare, and considered the potential implications for global security. It's a lot to take in. But amidst all the uncertainty and concern, there's also a glimmer of hope.
There is the human capacity for innovation and collaboration is immense. If we can channel that energy towards building a more peaceful and secure digital world, we can create a future where technology truly benefits all of humankind. It's a challenge worth striving for.
Absolutely, on that note of cautious optimism. We'll wrap up this deep dive. We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking. Remember, the future of cyberspace is not predetermined. It's up to all of us to shape it, one step at a time. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe in the digital world.